Turkey lifts its objections to Sweden, Finland joining NATO. Turkey agreed Tuesday to lift its opposition to Sweden and Finland joining NATO, ending an impasse that had clouded a leaders' summit opening in Madrid amid Europe's worst security crisis in decades, triggered by the war in Ukraine. Among its many shattering consequences, President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine has prompted Sweden and Finland to abandon their long-held non-aligned status and apply to join NATO as protection against an increasingly aggressive and unpredictable Russia, which shares a long border with Finland. Under NATO treaties, an attack on any member would be considered an attack against all and trigger a military response by the entire alliance. NATO operates by consensus, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan had threatened to block the Nordic pair, insisting they change their stance on Kurdish rebel groups that Turkey considers terrorists. After weeks of diplomacy and hours of talks on Tuesday, Finnish President Sauli Niinistö said the three leaders had signed a joint agreement to break the logjam. Stoltenberg said leaders of the 30-nation alliance will issue a formal invitation to the two countries to join on Wednesday. The decision has to be ratified by all individual nations, but he said he was absolutely confident Finland and Sweden would become members, something that could happen within months. Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson said the agreement was good for Finland and Sweden. Turkey hailed Tuesday's agreement as a triumph, saying the Nordic nations had agreed to crack down on groups that Ankara deems national security threats, including the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, and its Syrian extension. Turkey has demanded that Finland and Sweden extradite wanted individuals and lift arms restrictions imposed after Turkey's 2019 military incursion into northeast Syria. The agreement came at the opening of a crucial summit, dominated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that will set the course of the alliance for the coming years. The summit was kicking off with a leaders' dinner hosted by Spain's King Felipe VI at the 18th-century Royal Palace of Madrid. Top of the agenda in meetings Wednesday and Thursday is strengthening defenses against Russia and supporting Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is due to address NATO leaders by video on Wednesday, called the strike on the mall a terrorist act. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko traveled to Madrid to urge the alliance to provide his country with whatever it takes to stop the war. Just 9 of NATO's 30 members meet the organization's target of spending 2% of gross domestic product on defense. Stoltenberg said Monday that NATO allies will agree at the summit to increase the strength of the alliance's rapid reaction force nearly eightfold, from 40,000 to 3 lakh troops. Beneath the surface, there are tensions within NATO over how the war will end and what, if any, concessions Ukraine should make to end the fighting. There are also differences on how hard a line to take on China in NATO's new strategic concept, its once-a-decade set of priorities and goals. The new concept is expected to set out NATO's approach on issues from cybersecurity to climate change, and the growing economic and military reach of China, and the rising importance and power of the Indo-Pacific region. For the first time, the leaders of Japan, Australia, South Korea and New Zealand are attending the summit as guests. In the strategic concept, NATO is set to declare Russia its number one threat.